I'm Jake Aaron Villarreal, born and raised in Silicon Valley, and here to take you behind the scenes to share what it's like to be a startup founder, their journey they're on, the problems they face, and the products they build as they transform industries. I'm excited to have with us today Stefan Gunnarsson, founder and CEO of PropTexx. Stefan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jake. Great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thanks for joining. A little bit more about Stefan. He's the leader of the company, which is a property technology. They're passionate about real estate and tech. Stefan drives innovative, immersive solutions that revolutionize how people visualize the build world. Under his leadership, PropTexx is shaping the future of real estate visualization and its data. Stefan, I guess before we jump in here, I know we talked a little bit before we started, but let the listeners know where you're calling in from today.
I am calling in from the south of France, the French Riviera, right now. A beautiful place.
Well, you're making me jealous already, but I like the fact that you are able in this world to hire anywhere, to travel where you want, to build where you want, and ultimately, if you're solving a problem, it really doesn't matter. Give us a little background of you, Stefan. You know, you're building this really AI company today, but what's your origin story? How did you really start getting into technology, and really from early days up to today? Walk us through your journey.
Sure. So, so I'm born and raised in Iceland, and I say that because in Iceland it's a harsh living environment. So the beginnings usually start there, and we say Icelanders are very good entrepreneurs because they need to go through a lot, especially back in the days.
Yeah.
Then life led me to Switzerland, where I did a university, did a hotel school in Lausanne, and started my first startup in the year 2000, right after school, which I sold then 3 years later. That was my first exit, a very good exit, actually, which led me to believe that I could do it again immediately after, which was not the case, unfortunately, or fortunately, because I believe we learn more from the mistakes rather than what we succeed. So I took that lesson and went on with the journey. I then went into a bit of a corporate, was in Southeast Asia, Asia Pacific actually, for a large electricity provider. And then from that, back into the startup. So created PropTexx out of Singapore actually, built it from there. COVID hit, locked me down in a very nice place called Phuket in Thailand.
Oh yeah, I know Phuket. Very
Very
cool.
where I bought myself a house and passed or was in on the island during COVID and built PropTexx before they then opened that island up and moved over to the US, Canada actually to be very to build out the North American market with our solutions.
Wow.
That is pretty much the story.
Yeah. Well, what a great story. And to tie into that story a little bit, I was in Phuket about a week before the tsunami hit Thailand. You know,
Oh,
this is way back and kind of devastated that whole island a little bit, but
yeah,
beautiful. So
that was a rough time. Yeah,
that was a real rough time. God, it was crazy.
yeah.
Got lucky on that getting out of there right before it happened, but nonetheless, what a journey. So very international, obviously. And now you're here building in the US and globally as well. Technology is something that helps industries when it solves a real problem. And the challenge is always identifying what that problem is, then hoping that technology can do it differently, optimize it, do it better. What's the problem your company today, PropTech, solves?
Yeah, so it is the problem we solve is the inaccuracy in real estate listing and the presentation of listing. We've all gone through it. Every single person that has bought a house, we've all gone through endless nights and weeks and months looking for a house and never found the right one, although you just scroll through and you know that one of the houses that you actually passed is the right one, but you just continue. What we are solving is to enable the user to visualize the home the way they like it, right from the comfort of their home on the listing itself. So empowering the user rather than saying an agent or a home buyer should present the home to the home buyer. Sorry, the agent and the home buyer should present the home the way they think the buyer would buy it from. So we're actually empowering and putting these tools in the hands of users, which naturally creates a much better experience down the line.
Yeah, that's great. When you talk about your product, there is really two routes, sometimes three, but you're talking about selling a product directly to a consumer, and sometimes it's directly to a partner, and you guys collaborate, and there's more of a business to business relationship. What's your strategy? Who are you selling to?
Yeah. So when we created the product, the first target was to go to agents. That was the initial thought. Very quickly, we understood that as a tech company, we sit better within tech stacks. So we went straight up the food chain, and we started selling our or presenting our solutions to the CRMs and the MLSs and the tools that are used by these agents all the time, so that they could get direct access to it. So we've fostered a very strong market approach, where we go to tech stacks, we sit in the back, we plug in our solutions from the back end, and that empowers the agents when they're pushing a property to the market. They can then either tick on or off. Do I want my users to play with my property when they come and see that property? Do I want them to visualize that property as they would want it? This is how we fostered our go-to-market strategy.
That's great. So, from a user perspective, for the listeners who may have already used your product didn't even know it was yours, what's the experience like for the user? I want to buy a house. I look at the house online. I talk to my agent. I don't have the time to go quite see it yet, but online, I want to take a look at what it is and maybe how I can envision it being something I buy in the future. What does your technology do for me? How does it change my experience when I'm looking at a house?
Yeah. So the typical use case is when you come on a listing site, you see volumes that might fit your need, the number of bedrooms or even a basement that is half finished or could have potential. Without having a tool that allows you to visualize how these things could look if you would be living there, you would a strong chance you would just pass and go to the next one. Now, with the tool, the first thing you're going to do, and what we are seeing, what people are doing, is to go to the kitchen, change the kitchen to something modern, island kitchen or something that they like to have, and then change room types. So go into rooms and say, this should be, how would this look like if I have this as a home office, for instance, and I change it and I start looking at, okay, this is a bedroom today. I don't need that as a bedroom. I'm going to transform this into a home office. Exactly the same thought process as if you would walk into that house with an agent for a viewing, and you would be thinking about these elements without having any tool to help you out.
That's fascinating. So, as a potential buyer and with your agent, you're able to, with technology, change what you're seeing online within a house, the room, the kitchen, the bathrooms, and in some ways dress it up, I guess, too, with how it would look if you had a desk in the corner and a lamp in the on the other side, and really being able to visualize it. I guess from a time saving perspective, it would help you look at something versus having to go out and see everything in person. So I can understand that side of it, save some time. What are some of the other values that you see people are getting out of it so far?
So the main value is the engagement with the property. So the usual time that you spend on a property is about, or on a listing, is about 1 minute, 1 minute 30. This is the usual data that you're going to see on websites and listing sites. With the tool, we're seeing up to 20 minutes. Now, from a 1 minute 30 to a 20 minutes, imagine you looking for a home. You're going to take 20, 30 minutes in a day, every day or every second day to look for a home. If a website can capture 20 minutes of your time on a particular listing, a lot of things are happening. There's a lot of data that is being gathered. So there's behavioral data that we're gathering. There's a lot of, naturally there's the engagement, but the whole understanding of the home buyer, and especially a lead generation for then the home seller or the owner of that listing, that we are then feeding back to them. Don't forget, our customer is still the home owner, right? So the listing agent. So they're still purchasing from us. So they start gathering insights that they just didn't have before. And obviously more leads and better leads. We have brokerages that have rolled out with us that are just calling us back saying it's just too much, too many leads.
That's a good problem. I like that. So it also is a generator of more opportunities from just using the platform. It's amazing. God, you would think that agents would be knocking the doors down and say, "Hey, we got to get this technology
Yeah.
into the systems that we use, the MLS systems that we use, so we can improve our odds of selling and closing." Why is this space important to you?
So this is the largest asset class, right? So real estate. I went into this because I was buying a home. I've been buying and selling homes for 20 years, right? Whether it's my home or just for investment or a holiday home, but it just never became better. The experience just never became better, and so there was a problem to solve. Cable TV changed for the better. Netflix today is feeding you stuff. It just everything changed, but real estate never really changed. And that is the particular thing that we're diving into. This is how, and this is why. One, I think this is solvable. There is technology out there that could be applied, but it's such a niche market in a very vast array of generative AI, which is real estate, that we've picked up on. We've developed everything for that particular sector. We own everything we have created or that we're rolling out. We don't sit on any third party. We created all the data sets and the pipelines and the weights and everything on our own. So yeah, I think we've just narrowed down on something that there's a very strong need for the vast majority of the people on this planet. We're all buying a house at some point, or renting a house, or a roof is needed at some point in life.
So it's not just for the home buyer, it's also for the renter that might want to move into a place or just be able to visualize, I'm going to move in there. I got to work from home. What's a home office going to look like? What's the spacing look like? And not having to drive around everywhere.
Yeah, and the home renter, there's even more use cases around the home renter, because often you're going to have photos of stuff within. When they're taking pictures, you need to remove things and change things within the space of that photo. So the decluttering typically is one of the big use cases on our platform. Declutter a photo, take the kids room with all the toys and everything around, you want to take it away and put something else in place. Just visualizing it differently. This is just the start of the journey, right? We launched this product in November. First contract came in February. Now we're July. we're processing we're processing over 1 million instances a day. uh, So I mean, it's growing like crazy. It's
I can feel your passion on that one. So, what's the technology? Is it an AI, a visual AI solution that is changing real time how you're looking at a photo or something on the website? Is that really part of what you've created and kind of the with AI becoming so prevalent now in almost every space? What is it that you're doing? Maybe it's a start above what other companies are doing.
Yeah, so often I get that question, what's different with a Mid-Journey or DALI or these generic, visualization changing programs out there? The main difference is that if you use a Mid-Journey or a DALI or anything out there, you're going to get fantasy into a world that needs structure. So walls and windows and doors and fireplaces and stuff, you can't change these things. These are fixed in the house. You can't it's not a fundamental renovation tool. It's redecoration, changing things that you're able to change. So we've seen companies coming out with APIs into a DALI or a Midjourney. It's unusable. You can't. It has the wow effect because you change something, but you can't use it because walls are being moved, and suddenly there's a fireplace in the middle of the room, and it's just it won't work. So the technology that we have is proprietary, so it's all in-house, trained on data sets, millions over time, with our clients. So we've worked with clients that have been on beta with us, working on the outputs, what works, what doesn't work. So anybody going into the more generic would have to tone it down to trim it into this frame, which is the room, right? Which is the house, the envelope of the house. You're not changing that.
Yeah, really cool. So the technology itself sounds like it's groundbreaking. It's got some good features in it. What can we expect from PropTexx in the near future that will further disrupt the real estate industry?
So next step for us is to provide the user with estimates. We have a lot of users that are changing an old kitchen to a new kitchen. You would want to know what's the estimate of that change. Is this a $20,000 renovation or is it $100,000? Once you know that, you would want to know what impact does it have on the value of the house given the market. Does it mean that I'm bringing the value up to 100,000 if I put 100,000? Insights into the property that are just not available today, but we can pull out because one, we have the data. We're working with the profiled customer and the listings themselves and using the before and after, whereas we read the photos before and we read the photos after. Therefore, we're able to guide. So these are the steps that we're coming out with now. And another thing that we're naturally launching and everybody expects actually is to be able to control the output of the images. So we have a lot of customers that provide retail that want to come in and be a part of the journey because we got all these eyeballs on our outputs. So we're getting a lot of requests from furniture companies and other related companies where they want to be in these outputs. So today, technically, we can do it. We build the models for it. What we are rolling out with them or with the first ones is the business model around it. But yeah, that will come very soon as well.
Yeah, that's great. You're in a really good position where you have traction, you have revenue, you understand where the path is to grow. What's the biggest challenge currently for your company?
Yeah, right. It's right there. It's the growth. The challenge is getting customers in. Our first contract was a customer that does hundreds of thousands of photos, and when you get that in the beginning, obviously you start thinking infrastructure, you start thinking scalability, you start thinking what's going to happen with these models when you get at the same time you get 300 images a second. How does it scale? So one thing is to build models, the other thing is to find a market fit, financing, all of the little ingredients to build your startup. But then when the market comes at you because you actually found that little silver bullet and the market comes and they need it immediately, how do you manage that volume? It's a good problem to have, but it remains a problem.
Adds a little pressure, no doubt. Yeah, we see this quite often, but the good ones figure it out and move fairly quickly. When you start a company, you typically have a path where you want to go, and there's a lot of left and right decisions that have to be made in the process. Some people call them pivots, we call them shifts. What are some of the shifts that you've gone through that you feel would be something that you can share others would learn from?
So I started this journey in 2020. We're 2024. This 4 years in. When you start, you got this great idea, and I would say from over these 4 years, we've probably pivoted every month or every 3 months. Not fundamentally, but there's always little things that do change, and if you're open to it, you have your structure around it that accommodates for these changes, then you're on a good path because you can grow with your vision. If you think that the first idea is going to be the last thing where you exit on, you're fundamentally wrong, I would say. So yeah, the pivots, I mean, there were never big breakthrough pivots, and I think that's just because we left space for adjustments. We're very quick reacting. I mean, if there's something is not working, and you always have something not working, you pull the plug and you move on, and you just drive your vision.
Yeah, it seems like almost every company we've talked to has had to make those changes or pivots, and they eventually, really unlock some potential that helps them grow and scale. There's also the internal side on the employee that's looking at the leader and understanding, you're leading them through a path. So, your decisions impact potentially them too. Sometimes it's hard to make those changes, especially if there are a lot of them. But I think the good leaders set expectations where there's going to be lots of changes, and so get prepared. It's going to be a fun journey. We're going to make changes as we go. We might go down a path that's not going to work, or we're quickly going to make a change that is going to work. So sometimes that is really good, just to kind of put it out there, and you grow with the same people. And sometimes you get the wrong people on the bus that just, it's too much change and it's not going to work for them, and they're kind of, get me off of here. Is I don't know where we're going to end up, and I'm afraid to find out. So
Yeah,
we
very,
we
very,
really see quite a bit of that sometimes.
yeah, that's very much so. And I always say you hire people for that pick up on responsibility and ownership, especially in the beginning. And I always say I'm here to provide the funds and a vision. The rest is up to you guys.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's everybody's journey, so that's really cool. What do you wish someone would have told you now, or I guess, what do you know now that you wish someone would have told you before you started this journey? I know you had already a good exit and some other experiences over the last 20 years, but for this in particular, knowing where AI is today and how things have accelerated, what do you wish someone would have told you that you didn't know then that you know now that would have been helpful, if anything?
Oh yeah, yeah, a lot of things. So creating this journey, the AI came about just by accident. It was never a thing really in my head, at least. I started dabbling with it and finding ways, hired data scientists and engineers in the beginning to try to find ways to automate these visuals. That was the beginning. And my idea was always, yeah, there's CCTV recognizing faces. We must be able to do something in real estate and change and do, adjustments. That was the early days. Then came GPT and the AI wave, and it felt for a month like the carpet was taken from under you. It's like, oops, AI is now gone. Now I was the sexy one on the block, and now they came, and I'm nobody. But it actually changed. It was suddenly the market accepted it. The market took it in, and our story just got, it was just blown up because we were a part of that journey suddenly, and we owned the source. So we were one of them at the same time. That was a good one. So if I when I asked investors, for funds in the beginning, they would say, yeah, where's the blockchain, where's the crypto, where's all the fun stuff back in the days. Today I talk about AI. I'm obviously in the middle of the cycle, so we got it right there. But ideally, I would have understood early days where the larger models were, where is the AI exactly at that moment. It was just not out in the open at that time, but it was definitely in the making.
Yeah. It's been 24 years since the real big transformation. How I look at it, was building the internet in 2000. And then, we've gone through mobile and cloud and AI. I think, yeah, you're in the perfect position from what we see. I think there's going to be some consolidation for sure, and some companies just aren't going to make it, but there's going to be a lot that do. Talent is one of the challenges for a lot of AI companies right now. You've got the big three companies, OpenAI, Google, and some of the others that are really aggressively going after talent when it comes to machine learning and data science and some of the other peripheral type skills that you need in AI and building out. What's a strategy that's starting to work for you when it comes to finding the right people or maybe hiring the right people?
Yeah. So I'm in the south of France on the Riviera for a reason. We built up a research and development center up out here a few months ago, and that has worked out very well for us. It's easier to attract nice talents or good talents on the Riviera
Yeah.
rather than rather than a random place somewhere where they wouldn't find the same lifestyle. So one of the reasons why we're here is naturally there's a good pool of talents where we are. It's called the Silicon Valley of Europe. It's called Sofia Antipolis, right out of the Nice area. Lots of universities inside that area. There's a lot of help from government. There's a lot of push on AI right now in this area. So we went a little bit away from where everybody else is recruiting, and we came into the new found land, if we wish. And people are coming out of universities here with great ideas and understanding of the tech that is currently building. And it's interesting, the younger the better, almost, because they're so curious, and this is just so fast paced.
Yeah. I love that strategy. Go to where the talent is, but no one really is there to recruit it and build those relationships that can be a foundation. What's the moat you're creating around your company where you feel like you have an advantage and going forward, it's going to be tough for competition to really catch up or penetrate?
Yeah, so competition will catch up on the tech, right? I mean, that's without a doubt. Where it's going to be more difficult for them is as we integrate into all of these tools, it's going to be very difficult to take us out of there and replace us once we have the adoption downstream. So I think our advantage is really on the early days. We were the first mover on the front facing to the client with these generative models. It's being adopted widely currently. I mean, there's millions of listings that we're powering today already, and keeps growing. The faster we push that, the better the market position downstream. Not really on the tech. Yes, the tech is good. I mean, it's going to take months or even years to catch up, but tech goes fast, and there are other things going to come out, etc. But it's really about being integrated. I look at Grammarly as a very similar. Why is Grammarly still growing when you have ChatGPT? But they still grow, and that's
Yeah.
just because they're integrated, right? So
Yeah, very similar story there. For you personally, as we kind of wrap up here, I love what you're building. I understand the value. I come from a real estate family, and I know that any edge you can get to helping your agents or helping yourself as a buyer of a product or even renting, technically that can give you an advantage. Why would you not want to use it or try it? So I love the space you're in. What's a breakthrough for you personally? Not as a company, because you've got a lot of breakthroughs going on, but personally as a leader, what have you learned in this journey that has been, you feel like very much a growth spurt for you?
so I had never built a startup in the VC world. This is the first time I actually dabble in the VC realm, and that's a rough one. I mean, I opened that game beginning of last year. We entered Techstars in LA. We did 3 months there, and that was revealing. That was interesting. I thought I had seen a lot of things, but you actually start from scratch, and you build yourself up. What you have maybe is the resilience, but what I learned during these 3 months over there was impressive. And I still today I go back to that and use that over and over again. So yeah, that would be the main thing. Yeah.
So a good framework of how to kind of build and
Yeah.
start a company, launch it, get
Yeah.
investment. Yeah, that's
It's
great.
yeah, and it's this, you start raising, you never stop raising. Once you're in that game, you're always building value, and you're raising your caps and your valuations, and next round, you close a round, you go into the next round. And even though you're profit, I mean, today we're turning profit technically, but you're still raising. You never stop raising. You're always thinking about the next round.
Yeah,
So yeah, I would say that was never stop learning, I guess.
yeah, I love it. there's investors listening to this show. How much have you raised so far, and what round are you in?
We're in seed round. We're actually closing that seed round. We've raised a little bit over 2 million, 2.4 target. We're reaching the target now. We'll close that round, and then we'll think about a priced round, Series A, coming soon. We're actually technically we're probably past. We probably should be in the A because it's just growth right now. But yeah, we're moving into that stage now.
That's really cool. Well, I can't wait to catch up with you, Stefan, here as things continue to grow, and we'll do a follow-up call with you. But if anyone wants to find your company or find you, where do they go?
They go on PropTexx.com, and we have a little form there that says, I'm interested in what you guys are doing. It will come to me automatically, and I'll reach out for sure.
Very cool. And just for the listeners, that's PROP and then TEXX.com. Very cool. All right. Well, my name is Jake here in Villarreal. I'm the host of the show. Thanks for listening to all the listeners. And Stefan, thanks for coming on and sharing your story and having the courage to do it. It means a lot to me. I will continue to tell these great stories and follow up as I go. And if you ever want to get in touch with us, you can find us at MatchRelevant.com. Signing off for now. We can't wait to catch up with you all in the next episode. Until then, take care. Before we wrap up, I want to give a big shout out to all the entrepreneurs that have joined and make this podcast possible. And for all the listeners for listening. It means the world to me that you chose to spend your time with us today. I'm your host, Jake Aaron Villarreal, signing off for now, but can't wait to connect with you all soon on the next episode. Take care. This show is sponsored by MatchRelevant, a company that helps venture-backed startups find the best people in the market, and they do it in 3 simple steps. First, they sit down with founders to understand their story. Second, they tell their story into multiple candidate channels. And third, they schedule interviews within 48 hours. Find us at MatchRelevant.com to learn more about how we do it.